Hi guys, this is Hiro. How's everyone doing today? Aaj bata kem cho? Aaj sab kaise ho? So today I have a very, very, very special video for everyone. Okay, I even brought out the whiteboard. Okay, and you know when I bring out the whiteboard, that means that I believe no matter who's watching it, it has a very, very high chance of changing their life if they watch the whole entire video. Okay. And that being said, the whole entire video is probably going to be a little bit longer, right? Because it's a very important topic. That's important to everyone. It has to do with dating, okay? And dating impacts literally almost anybody, I don't know, average under the age of 30. It could be younger, it could be older, okay? It depends on when you end up getting settled, okay? But title of this video, it's going to be something like why people seek dating advice and what you could do instead, okay? Now, this board has a lot to do with the second part, which is what you can do instead of seeking all this dating advice. But the main thing is, the root thing that I will go over right before I touch on this whiteboard is why people seek dating advice. So people seek dating advice in one very quick phrase or one quick sentence, it's to better themselves, right? Now, that's it, right? So that's why people seek dating advice. Now, they want to better themselves to achieve a goal. Now, how spiritually conventional that, or how conventionally spiritual, actually, I should say, that goal that they want to achieve is okay, that can be a gray area, right? But the point is they want to better themselves, because no matter what goal you want to achieve, no matter how superficial it is or how spiritually conventional it is, you have to better yourself in some way, right? Because you have to enhance yourself in some way. You have to change yourself in some way. Okay, relationships are literally a reflection of you, right? That's why, in astrology, the first and seventh house are across from each other. Okay, they literally, your relationships always impact you, and how you change yourself always impacts your relationships, right? Now, this, real quick, this goes for all your relationships, okay? It's not just your physical, your intimate relationships with your partners, okay? It can be anybody you come across, okay? It's at an energetic level, you kind of have a relationship with almost anybody you either see or hear of or whatever, right? But obviously, the person that you're choosing to settle with, or you're choosing to possibly, move forward with in a long-term fashion, somehow monogamously, which means like it's just you and the other person only thinking about each other, or like being with each other. Let's just say being with each other, right? Because it's impossible not to think about other people, right? The brain's just going to do whatever it wants. But point is, that person is obviously going to have a huge impact. They're the biggest impact, right? Which is why the seventh house is looked at mainly for your spouse, right? Now, so that I explained why people seek dating advice, right? It's to better themselves. I don't care what you want. I don't care if you just want like some kind of sexual hookup or you want a lifelong marriage. Somehow, some way, if you're seeking advice to achieve those two goals, you need to better yourself, right? If you're seeking advice, if you're already getting it, then like, why are you seeking the advice? Or you're seeking the advice to further, achieve your goals even more, right? But at a root cause, you're trying to better yourself in some way, right? Now, the thing is with advice is that there's always two extremes, right? Whether you're taking advice online or from people, from people in person, okay? There's always going to be the super superficial end, and there's always going to be the super general spiritual end, right? The advice almost never goes somewhere in between, okay? They're either going to give you the most superficial advice, do this and you'll get this, and I mean, sometimes it can work, but a lot of the times it doesn't, or they'll give you very general spiritual advice, okay? And again, sometimes it works, and a lot of times it doesn't, because this one is so general that you don't really know how to apply it properly. And this one's so specific that, or I guess you could say so basic that it's missing out on a lot of other spiritual components that are necessary to achieve what you want, right? So I'm basically going to give you another little plan here that you can do instead, okay? So first thing you're going to do, okay, and just keep in mind, a lot of people do the first two things extremely well. Like they do it, the humans do this better than everybody. It's everything else that gets avoided, which causes problems. Okay, so just keep in mind before I start saying the first couple points because they're necessary to lay the foundation. But then you're like, oh, I already know this. Well, I'm acknowledging that. So, but pay attention to the specific words I use here, okay? Because they're going to be important. Think about all general components you want in a person, okay? Notice how I added the word general on top of components. Okay, I added this in the last second because I wanted to make a very specific point here. These general components are things that are very general. Think lifestyle or spiritual things that are important to you. Not necessarily conventionally spiritual things, but just things that enhance, that really affect your energy. Okay, I don't care how much, like when I meant the word spiritual, I didn't mean, oh, necessarily you're into meditation or whatever, right? That's not what I meant. I just, things that impact you energetically, or if you don't believe in energy and all this stuff, things that impact your like mental and emotional state very, very, very strongly. Okay, so an example of this could, but general components, right? So an example of this could be a healthy lifestyle, okay? Or sexual and physical attraction, okay? Or like, I don't know, like, I don't know how to word this general, but like a lot of talking communication, okay? Like this is, okay, I just named 3, right? But so point is, think about all the general components you want. You've probably already thought about these things, right? But now make sure that they're general components. Don't think like, oh, I like green eyes, okay? That's not a general component here, okay? Think about all the subcomponents to get these components for you, okay? Let's take the 3 general components I just said. So we'll just work off of these the whole video, okay? I didn't even plan it like this, but let's just do this. What did I say? I said healthy lifestyle, sexual and physical attraction, and communication and talking. Okay, let's just sum that last point up into like personality compatibility. Okay, let's just pretend I said that instead. Think about all subcomponents to get these components for you. So let's just say healthy lifestyle, right? One subcomponent could be that I like to frequently exercise, okay? And another subcomponent could be that, I'll give 2 subcomponents for all the 3 components, okay? And then another thing could be that they don't eat a certain X percentage of junk food per week. Or unhealthy food. Let's just say they don't eat more than 15% unhealthy, no more than 15% of their food is unhealthy throughout the week, right? And then let's just say physical attraction, right? Let's just say you like a very well-developed upper body. Okay, male or female, let's just roll with that. And another thing is you like having exciting or sex you look forward to at least once a day. Okay, let's just coin that as the second one. Okay, and then for the last one, the personality thing, let's just say this person needs to make you genuinely laugh, like X amount of frequency, genuinely laugh, okay, not like corny stuff. And then another thing could be you enjoy late night conversation with this person. It doesn't have to be every day, but like that's just 2 subcomponents you care about. You like late night conversation, okay, whatever. This is what you like. Okay, let's just pretend that this is what you like. Now, this is where we all oh, and just real quick, okay, let me just tie this in here, okay? You want to ignore all non-general components. And let me just add to this. You also want to ignore, that was for this, but tying this into here, you also want to ignore 2 detailed subcomponents, okay? So like the healthy lifestyle thing, I'll just give it like just one out of all. I'll just give one quick example of what to avoid. A subcomponent is not, oh, they have to like brown rice over white rice. That is not a subcomponent. That's a super specific ass detail that you need to ignore, okay? The reason why, you are who you attract, right? So in general, the people that have, if you have, like, this is why I highlighted or I put the word general components here and I described it. Because if you have certain general components that really affect who you are, like your whole energy and everything, most likely these people will also, or someone who you have a very healthy and good relationship is going to have the same general components. Okay, this is why I'm having you keep it as much high level as possible. Okay, so right here, think about the components that are important to you. Okay, now it's not even gonna really take off if you guys don't have the same components, right? Like it's literally not going to go anywhere. Like anybody that you've had anything with, at some level, you've had some components similar with them. Okay. Now, the thing is, this is where we all mess up. We mess up in one of two places. You have certain subcomponents that make up your general components for you, right? And let's just say you find someone. I just gave two subcomponents for all the three components, right? Let's just say you find someone with all of these. Oh, great. Now, think about what subcomponents you need to achieve the component want from the other person, the same components that you have, right? Most likely, whatever components are similar to you, somebody else is going to have the same ones. If you want some kind of like healthy thing going on long term, right? Now, but the subcomponents can differ. Okay, and even if they don't differ, you need to see, oh, dude, like regardless of whether they're different or not, right? Let's just say you like a well-developed upper body and they like a well-developed lower body, right? Whatever, dude. But the point is, you need to think about what some subcomponents you need to achieve that want for the other person, or from the other person, the want from the other person, right? Not whatever you want, the want from the other person. So let's just say I gave two subcomponents of the three general components of what you want, right? Now you need to think, oh, what for these general components, what subcomponents do they want, right? And don't just make shit up just to have stuff that you have, right? It's very important to be honest here. That's the other thing. Honesty is key. Okay, I'm gonna dive more into that in this next point. But honesty is key. You need to think what components they want that you need in order to make this work, right? Let's just use the first thing, right? The what was that? The healthy lifestyle. Let's just for hypothetical sake, let's just say that they have the exact same subcomponents for these components as you do, right? This is almost never going to be true, and maybe I might switch up one example spontaneously, but let's just say they have the same exact subcomponents as you do, right? So just to work off of that. For the healthy lifestyle, right? Active, and the other one was healthy eating. Well, are you active, and do you like healthy eating to like a reasonable extent? If not, then you need to fix something, right? Because you can't expect someone to have extremely healthy eating, but then you're, eating chips and Cheetos and stuff, and then feel like crap all day, right? It's not gonna work, right? Same thing with the sexual and physical attraction or intimacy or whatever I said, right? Let's just say you're a guy and you like a very well-developed upper body, right? Now, guys and girls like different things in upper bodies, right? We know that. But let's just say she also likes a well-developed upper body. So let's just say hypothetically, you need to take just a good, honest look in the mirror, right? You don't need to be like, oh, she needs size, this pecs and this shoulder and 18-inch biceps. That's not what I'm saying. But you need to look, okay, how well-developed are your arms and shoulders and things like that, right? Are you lacking anywhere? And if so, you need to work on that, right? And the next one, the personality and things like that. I'll flip the script. Let's just pretend there's a girl, right? Let's just say, what I mean by that, let's just say pretend I'm a girl, right? So compatibility, personality and stuff is very important to me, right? So I think I like laughing, and I liked staying up all night. Now, I'm not saying most men are gonna like the exact same subcomponents, right? They're probably gonna like, I don't know, some other detailed subcomponents. But you need to, let's just assume some guy you're talking to has this, whatever. Let's just say from your experience that in your neighborhood, men like the exact same two subcomponents, right? They like funny people and people that can have really great conversation late night, right? You need to think, am I funny? And Am I a great person to talk to late at night? Okay, you need to also be very, very honest with yourself here. Now, like I said, the subcomponents might not be exactly the same, right? So the component is similar. It has to be somewhat similar, right? Which is the personality is important and whatever, right? But the other thing, which is the subcomponents, right? That's let's just say, okay, men. Let's just really say they don't really care too much about humor and late night talking, right? Let's just say personality wise, I don't know. Let's just say they like talking about. They like having very educational conversations, right? Let's just say that. So, are you checking off that subcomponent? I don't only get one, but are you checking off the subcomponents from what that person wants? If not, you might need to work on that, right? Now, what can get you in trouble is if you only match certain components. Right? Let's just say those 3 components are important for you in a relationship, and those 3 components are important for them. But let's just say I'm a girl, right? And like I like healthy lifestyle, sexual and physical, and personality, right? Let's just say that other person, a guy, he only really sees 3 of those components. I mean, 2 out of those 3 components in me. He only sees the healthy and the sexual and physical, but he doesn't really see the personality. Why? Because there's a certain subcomponent match. Well, guess what? You're gonna form something based off of healthy lifestyle and sexual and physical, whatever, right? And I mean, it might be cool, but that personality is not there, so I don't think it's gonna really be too long term here. Okay, so I mean, and you guys can do the math and kind of see where that situation would take off to and where it would end. Okay. Let's just say I'm a guy. Let's use a little different example. Let's just say I'm in the same components, right? Healthy lifestyle, sexual, and personality. But let's just say she only sees 2 out of the 3 in me. Let's just say she doesn't see the sexual and personality component, right? I'm giving the 2 most stereotypical examples here for a guy and a girl, right? So let's just say the only components we 2 have in common are the personality and the healthy lifestyle. Well, I mean, we can be great friends. Right? I mean, we can have great conversation and stuff, but if that sexual component is lacking, most likely this is not going to take off towards a long-term relationship, right? I think you can see how that's true, okay? So this is why I'm telling you, be aware of your components, okay? In order for there to be for the most part these days, for there to be a long-lasting relationship, most of the components need to match. General components, okay? Don't look at subcomponents yet, and definitely don't look at specific detailed stuff ever, okay? That's the other point I want to tie in. You want to ignore all non-general components for this first thing, right? Make sure you distinguish general components versus subcomponents. Keep the general components very, very, very general. Because if you have 10 general components, but they're actually really subcomponents, I mean, you're not really looking at it at that high level, and the chance of you finding someone with those exact same 10 specific subcomponents is very low, okay? And then also, something I didn't add here, but when you think about subcomponents, don't think about isolated, specific, really detailed details, okay? You want to keep subcomponents at the subcomponents level. And that keeps me at the third thing. You need to ignore and accept any specific details you want not coming true or not being there, right? These are just ego details. Not everyone's going to have everything, okay? But we want to at least satisfy at a spiritual level as much as possible, or at a very high mental level for those of you guys who want to look at it like that. Okay, so think about all general components. Then you want to think about all the subcomponents you need. Then think about, okay, for these components, what subcomponents do they need? And work on those as much as possible. If you can't work on those, well, I mean, there might be somebody else for you or something. I don't know. Or if it's the other person. And I'm going to talk about that more as we go down into here, which is the fun part. Now, one other key thing that I want to touch on before I go down here. So I already touched on ignore all non-general components for this. And I meant to add ignore details for subcomponents. So the energy that you put out is the energy you attract, and vice versa, right? The energy you take in is the energy you're going to put out. The more confused and frustrated you are is the more confused and frustrated they are. Basically, how aware you are is how aware they are at a certain sense, okay? From a certain level. It's at a very general level, okay? I want you, recognize the theme here. It's a very general level, but there is still some truth to it. But I'm telling you when it's more general so that you know it's more general. It doesn't mean exactly how confused you are is exactly how confused they are, and exactly how frustrated they are is exactly how frustrated they are. Basically, what I mean is basically the total amount of awareness and trauma you have and how you're processing it is basically somewhat packaged up in the same person to an extent, somehow, in some way. Okay, but just basically what I mean is the more aware you are and the more you work on yourself and stuff like that, or the more you have worked on yourself, the more you're better, right? Whether you were already better or you made yourself better, is the better person at a awareness level that you're going to get. Okay, so just recognize that. Now, I think I explained this good enough, and I'll tie it more into this, but basically, you guys get the idea of what's going on here, okay? Think about what you really, really, really need. Find someone who really most likely at an energetic level, they're really, really, really gonna need the same things. If that's there, right? There's the same things. Think about what you need to achieve these needs at a very high level. Think about if both of you guys achieve the same sub needs, the first level sub needs, because anything below that is too detailed, the same level sub needs for these bigger needs. If you guys do, then great. If not, then you want to work on whatever you can work on, right? You can either work on it directly. For example, let's just say I'm a guy and I like a girl with a very well-developed upper body, okay? And let's just say she also likes to develop upper body. I don't have a developed upper body. I mean, I do. I'm a little over 200 pounds, but I'm not that obese or anything. But if you don't, let's just say you're not, you need to see, right? Is there something I can work on, right? That is a legit sub need, right? She likes a very developed upper body. What is not a subcomponent is, your hair has to exactly be like this, or your eye color has to be like the perfect shade of blue and green. That's not a good, that's an extremely isolated detail, okay? Or I don't know. You guys get the point, right? So just you guys work on whatever you can, right? And that's that. Sometimes you won't be able to work on it, and then you need to accept. So there's three options here. You either learn to accept this stuff as much as you can, and it's going to be a combination of everything. Accept this stuff, work on it, or possibly leave it, right? You can either leave the other person or you can leave the desire within yourself, right? But so it's basically leaving one of the things plus working on yourself, right? Regardless of whether you leave the person or whether you guys break up or not, right? Because most likely, if you have a really crappy upper body, right? I'm just using this as an example, right? I don't want to trigger anything in anybody, but if you have a really crappy upper body, right? Most likely, let's just say somebody had this issue of you not having a good enough body. I mean, the chances are you're going to have somebody with that same problem, right? Especially physical attraction is very important to you. So the way you solve this, let's just say, you just can't get an upper body for some reason, right? I refuse to believe that for the most people. I'm not saying you're going to look like a pro bodybuilder, but let's just say somehow it can't work. You actually need to let go of that expectation within yourself, right? You might not have somebody with, the most curvy body of all time. If you're, not really desirable to touch yourself or whatever, right? So the expectations actually need to get, if you can't achieve them for you, you're going to have to let go of them for you, okay? That's just how it works. Now, moving on, right? Because I think I touched on that enough. You guys must be wondering, okay, what the heck is all this down here? Okay. This is the holy grail of the video, okay? Do not try to component bargain. Okay? What do I mean by this? So I gave a couple examples at the beginning of, a guy not fulfilling the sexual and physical desire for a woman, or the woman not fulfilling the personality desire for a man. If you're having a major component disconnect, do not try to substitute your own personal lack of a component by giving another component. Okay? It will end in a disaster. Let's give the two examples. Let's just say you're a guy. You are not that attractive, hypothetically, right? To a certain person, right? To this person. Don't try to say, "Oh, I really want you, and you're not attracted to me, so I'll just give you more of the personality. I'll talk with you all night and all morning, even." Right? That's your bargain. Not only all night, but I'll talk to you all morning, and then so that you like me a lot more. Okay, this is not gonna work. Okay, this is not gonna. If there's a component really important and it's missing from one of y'all's end, it's not gonna work. Right? Same thing with the personality. Let's just say this guy does not find your conversation educational or enlightening at all, and that's important to him. Don't try to do that by like initiating sex more or something like that. Whatever, right? Like whatever. Yeah. So don't do that, right? Don't try to bargain. Hey, I don't have this, so I'll give you more of this. That's what component bargaining is. Do not do that. Those two examples, you can see how it ends in disaster, right? Nobody's getting what they want, really, and everybody's just, especially the person doing the bargaining, is getting more frustrated and things like that, because you're giving so much more, and then the other person doesn't even want it, and then they kind of feel stuck and whatever. Be aware of component sacrificing, okay? Now, you see here, there are 4 points I made. Component bargaining, component sacrificing, component settling, and component negotiating. Now, the first one is when you don't have a component and you're trying to make up for it. What do you think the second one is? It's when the other person doesn't have a component and they're trying to make up for it. So in a sense, be aware of component sacrificing. So you're kind of sacrificing a component you want, okay? You can see how also, you're just on the other side of the coin here. But it's also going to lead to it's going to lead to the same result. It's just who's kind of doing the ending and who's kind of feeling what. But it's going to lead to a disaster, right? If you're the guy and you don't find the girl that enlightening at all, and that's important to you, important conversation, but she just tries to throw sex in your face, you want to be aware of that. This is not going anywhere, okay? This is just wasting your time and energy and things like that. So you want to be aware of this and not participate in this at all, really, okay? Now, notice I said do not do any component sacrificing, right? Why? Because I said that. Because we might not all have the same goals, okay? Now, as shallow as this is, I'm not God to judge everybody, right? If you are a girl or a guy, right? I'll use both examples to keep it fair. If you're a guy who's more at a stage of their life where they're just looking for more, superficial relationships and things like that, you could be aware that someone is throwing more physical, incentives at you, right, to achieve a certain thing that you might not necessarily want, but it's kind of giving you what you want right now. That's why I basically said be aware of it, right? But just understand that it is what it is, okay? In the same opposite. I'm just using the other example. Let's just say you're a girl and you just, want people to talk to more, but you're not really looking for any physical anything. Just be aware of that example, right? Most likely you're already a little bit aware, but just be aware. But then definitely you can't take these any further, okay? What do I mean by that? So let me tie this in to the next one. So the first one is you're trying to do the bargaining. The second one is you're doing the sacrificing, aka the other person is trying to do the bargaining. Now, what do I mean by settling or negotiating? Okay, these basically have to do with the fact that you or someone else is doing the bargaining for you. Okay, what do I mean here? Let's say you're a guy. I'll use the same example. Let's say you're the guy, just so it's all easy to understand for one example fully, and then you can apply it to your own example. Let's say you're the guy and you want a physical relationship, right? And you think a girl's willing to give you that if you kind of give her the personality component she's also looking for. Okay, so that's what I mean by component settling. Okay, and component negotiating is exactly the opposite spectrum. So let's just say you're a girl and who really just wants a boyfriend. Okay, and you like, you know, the companionship, whatever, the laughs, the late night conversations, whatever, right? And you're not that physically attracted to someone, but and that's a general component for you, right? So there's general component. The key here thing is there's always some component negotiations, component settling, component sacrifice. Let me just finish the example first before I continue. You don't see that physical attraction in someone, but you really want that thing, and this person's willing to give you that and even more for that thing. So you're like, hey, you know what? I'll give him the sexual intimacy that I want, right? But if he gives me more of the other thing. So that's what I mean by all of this stuff, right? So we have bargaining where you're lacking, okay? You have sacrificing where the other person's... sorry, I forgot to say something. In this last example of the girl, let's just say you're the guy, okay? So the settling example, I actually gave... Pretend you're the guy in both the settling and the negotiation example. So the settling example is where you're the guy and you're saying, hey, I'll give you the relationship, just give me I guess you can say the sex or the physical relationship I want. In the negotiation, pretend you're the guy and the girl's saying, hey, I'll give you the sex you want, just give me the relationship you want. Okay, so that, I think you can kind of see that here. But basically, to sum this up, it's basically you're lacking in trying to provide something else. The other person's lacking and they're trying to provide something else. The other person's lacking and you're willing to compromise. You're lacking and the other person is willing to compromise. Okay, so I hope you got these four. Okay, point is, do not do any of this. I know I said beware here, but actually really don't do this, because this is the only one I said beware of, because technically, like I said, we all have different goals and stuff, but eventually you're gonna kind of move away from this over time. Hopefully, I would hope. Okay, like eventually. So don't do any of this stuff. Focus on your general components. Be aware. Okay, so remove all your confusion and frustration. Be aware. This is why I always, talk about meditation and all this kind of stuff. You increase your awareness. When you increase your awareness, you see what's actually important to you. Okay, a lot of people say what they want is not actually what they want. Okay, it's what they think they want. Okay, it's what their ego wants. Think about what actually is important. Think about what's important to get the things that are important. Okay, the actual real things to get that. Okay, not details, the actual real things. Think about those components for the other person. Okay, they're going to be the same for, if it's a long-term relationship or something like that, it's going to be the same. Okay, even if it's not, okay, just think about, if you want something else, think about what subcomponents they need for those components. Okay, I've given plenty of examples and information. I think you guys kind of have an idea of what I'm talking about, but this is kind of what is the main thing here, okay? This is what the video boils down to. You need to see what subcomponents you're lacking in. Okay, if you find, we all think about, oh, I want to find the right person. Well, I mean, once you do that, I mean, then what? I mean, if you're not the right person for that person, I mean, who cares, right? I mean, it's either going to lead to nothing or worse. It's going to lead to some disaster, and then that's it, right? Think about how you can achieve those subcomponents, or you can let go of those subcomponents, okay? Not do any of this stuff, okay? You or the other person. And most likely it's gonna have to be a give and take. But don't do this. Don't do this only really with subcomponent. It's all like it's not a very straightforward thing, right? But like one person can't be doing all the accepting, right? And that's why you see sometimes like, oh, like, how is this really, attractive person with this really non-attractive person? It has to do with some subcomponent mismatch. It has to do with some subcomponent mismatch, okay? Or because that can be true. Or their components are not what you think their components are, okay? So it's either their components align in such a way to make this work, and or possibly both. Yeah, and is both. And or the subcomponents are just not what you think they are. Okay, that's the only way you see some extreme case, because I mean they have some sort of different components or subcomponent requirement. Okay, but besides those, and don't just bank on some unique situation happening to you where you cannot do any work. Work on your own subcomponents and work on your expectations of subcomponents, okay? Accepting and letting go of whatever you need to, okay? Because once you start thinking about this, you'll see how much you actually lack compared to what you want, okay? And this is not me trying to be disrespectful. This is me just being the truth if you actually want this. If you want to just continue listening to your ego and things like that, I mean, you can do that. That's fine. But yeah, most likely if you're looking for advice, most likely that hasn't worked, okay? So I don't know how long this video is, but I think it's a good time to wrap it up. If you have any questions or comments, as usual, you can let me know via the comment section or email, which is in my bio. And until next time, I'll talk to everyone later. Thank you all very, very much for watching.